What is World War II all about? World War II has been a worldwide military conflict affecting the whole world. Unfortunately, there had been two major separate conflicts going on. The first began in Asia in 1937 as the Second Sino-Japanese War. The other conflict began in Europe in 1939 about the German invasion of Poland. With all this going on, it had the majority of the world's nations into two opposing military alliances known as the Allies and the Axis powers. This war had resulted for the deaths of over 70 million people, making it the most tragic conflict in human history and mankind. You're probably wondering what Guam had to do with all the worldwide conflicts of World War II. Well, little do you know, Guam has had some tragic moments during the war as well. Curious? How the war affected Guam. In the Japanese-American part of the war, Guam and other Mariana Islands were invaded by the Japanese military. On July 21, Guam was invaded and taken on August 10. The Japanese still fought with their might until it was long gone, finally over. Although, before the Battle of Guam had taken place, there were other incidents happening in the island. The George Tweed story. George Ray Tweed was the chief radioman of the U.S. Navy during the outbreak of World War II. He was a 16-year veteran of the Navy on Guam during the time the Japanese invaded the island on December 10, 1941. He and 5 other men refused to become prisoners of the war and decided to run into the mysterious jungles of Guam. When the Japanese learned of their absence, they began to hunt for them. None of the men surrendered, and the Japanese eventually caught the 5 and were executed. George was the only one left, and the Japanese continued to search for him. At this time, many Chamorro families were killed and slaughtered for being suspected of helping the Americans escape and hide. For 2 years and 7 months, the Chamorro families continued to hide George for his safety. Many Chamorro families risked their life for him. Eventually, George managed to run away from the Japanese just before the Battle of Guam was begun. On July 10, 1944, he was finally rescued by the U.S. troops during the impending U.S. invasion. For George's heroism, he was awarded the Legion of Merit and was promoted. Take note. If you research about World War II, they usually don't mention this little detail. Little do we all know, many lives in Guam were greatly affected and many innocent people were killed. I know it isn't the most important war of the war, but it was the most touching by our opinion. Outcome of the war. Eventually the Allies were the victor, resulting for the United States and Soviet Union colliding as the world's top 2 leading superpowers. Because of this, it has set the stage of the Cold War that lasted for the next 45 years. The United Nations was formed for their acts of preventing future conflicts.
And her hair was disabled and crying and holding us by the hands and rushing us out of the church, actually rushing us away from the church because we were already outside. We didn't know which way to go when she came. And as we were going, another plane came by and swooping down, woo, you know. So we ran. She pulled us under a house. In those days, like in Hawaii, many houses are built on stilts. So their houses in Agana were built on stilts, and they had kind of like a fence on the bottom. We call it papat satgi, under the floor, the first floor. And I landed on a turtle because this family was raising a turtle, and the turtle had already had lots of eggs. And so we stayed there till the planes were gone, and then she took us home.
some families, they have different way of disciplining their children, and set us free, like I said, and start changing the way we live and all that. And the Japanese too, when they came in there, they're very cruel. The first batch, because I think they were, shall I say, they want to let the people know the island that don't do anything because you're going to get some, either they punish you or even kill you. So it that is new to us because we never know that some people will have things like that, against other people because we're brought up, like I said, peacefully and live. We don't take things seriously, even during the war. That's why a lot of people get in trouble because the American authority never told us what to do, what not to do during the. They know them well there's going to be an invasion, but they never prepare us. In fact, they have the Insular Guard, and they have that 1918 rifle. How many? Only couple of it, like I said, the Marines. How many Marines? Less than 50 Marines, Navy man. And another thing is that they never tell it, but because they start moving dependent.
They could have walked in. They didn't have to fight to take Guam. They didn't have to bomb Guam. They only bombed Guam to show that they meant business. I mean, that they're coming. And they're coming. And so when they attacked, see, on December 8th, they only attacked Sumai, the fuel pump, and the Pan American, hotel, and a few other places. But they did not attack to destroy the island, Because why destroy something that you're going to take anyway?
Watch the proverbial sunrise coming up over the Pacific, and you might think I'm losing my mind, but I will shy away from the specifics, 'cause I don't want you to know where I am. 'Cause then you'll see my heart in the saddest state it's ever been. This is no place to try and live my life.